So over in the cost breakdown of the webinar, this is how we come up with our costs. There's the total cost of the summer. We want to show a demonstration on how track meets reflect on your cost of the summer. We'll go over travel expenses. We'll talk about the USATF membership, which I've already hit on, and then uniforms, and then of course how we accept payments. So for the summer, the training costs $350. The entry fees to get the athletes into the meet is $72. Now, the coaches' travel fees, our expenses for the summer is $55, and that's per family, and that covers the 3 track meets, which is USATF, state meet, the regional meet, and the national meet, which I'll go in deeper to help the coaches commute to the meets. And then uniform is $90. If you're already a Trackmyspeed athlete, you don't have to purchase a new uniform. You can race in a previous uniform. And in that case, you would just minus $90 from your 567. So this is how we came up with this total cost, just so you know. So, I mean, this is an example of what Trackmyspeed is. You know, Trackmyspeed, yes, tracks your speed during practices and then also track meets. But one of the things that we do well as far as communicating with families is being completely transparent about everything that we're doing. And this is an example of what we're doing and why we went into detail of where your money's going and why we want your money. So training is $175 a month. That's pretty much our standard rate throughout the entire year. The entry fees for this package here is $24 for the state meet, $24 for regionals and nationals. That'll get you 3 track meets per event. Now, the company is going to pay the entry fees for the relays because we want to control those relays. We're partnering, we're teaming our athletes up from taking an athlete from Grays Lake, which is 10 minutes from Wisconsin, and then putting them on a relay with someone from Champaign, Illinois, which is 2 hours south, but 3 hours away from Grays Lake, and then teaming them up with an athlete from like Geneseo, which is almost in Iowa. So Trackmyspeed wants to control those relays, so we are going to make sure that we cover those expenses for those relays because relays are very important for us. The travel expenses are represented as so: $10 for state, $10 for regionals, $35 for nationals. Over the athletes that we have, $55 goes a long way. Now, why is there a coach's fee and then also a training fee? When coaches travel with the team, there are costs that come up that going into the summer we can't really predict or put a number on. Some meets are in New York, some meets are in California, some meets are in Arkansas. So it's hard to put those cost expenses into the cost of training. So we separate them so that they can fluctuate up or down. The uniforms, the top is $55, the bottom is $35. And then again, if you have a uniform, you don't have to pay that cost. Now, this is what it looks like. We're going to take 2 track meets, and what I want to represent to you is what happens when you add a track meet onto your summer schedule that's outside of the USATF Junior Olympic Series. So we're using the mid-distance classic for the distance runners, and of course New Balance because that's a popular competition. So the mid-distance is June 10th. There's no standard to get into that meet, and it's $20 per athlete. And later during the summer, you got New Balance, and that's actually $50 per event. So that's 2 different meets. One's focused for distance, the other one's focused for everything. And it's a national meet, and it costs more money. But what you choose to do this summer that decision is going to be up to you. You're already paying $567. But when you add those 2 meets onto your schedule to compete for the summer, your costs go up from $567 to $637. So this is our way of giving families the option to train more or compete more. But our minimum standard, required standard, is the USATF series, which are those three meets: the state, regionals, and then nationals. As far as travel expenses, we don't do any fundraising. We um, oh, the 567 does not include travel expenses, and that's very important to understand. Um, the Trackmyspeed is not responsible for commuting athletes to and from practice or to and from track meets. That's up to the families. 2 years ago, we required that the athletes travel with the team, and the type of families that are attracted to Trackmyspeed, the families also wants to travel too, because I mean it's just a good community of people. So giving the families the options to allow the athletes to travel with the team, it's good. But then the family want to travel themselves, they can do that too. So although Trackmyspeed is not responsible for the travel, we still go over and beyond to find ways to save money for each family and the athletes. The way that we do that, we'll take a hotel, we'll divide that by 3 nights, we'll times that by 3 nights, and we pair 4 athletes to one room, and that gives us a cost for that travel fee. An example is, if we were to stay at the Hilton Garden Inn, and the Hilton Garden Inn costs $400. Well, $400 divided by 4 athletes versus a family, we're looking at $100 per kid. But if you travel as a family, that's $400. So if you're a family and you know that you want to spend a lot of time traveling and competing this summer, there's some meets, as a parent you want to travel with, and then there's some meets you just want to send your son or daughter just to save money so that you can financially make it throughout the summer. As far as our the cost, the payments, now this presentation is about 3 weeks, 5 weeks old. So we actually had our first presentation on April 1st. So maybe that's more than 5 weeks, 6 weeks now. Whoa. So our first payment is gone. That's already passed. So our next payment, so now by June 5th, we're looking for both payments all at once. Now we do have a late fee. So between June 6th and June 16th, if you don't pay by the 5th, you have to pay within this window. Now, our cutoff is the 16th, which means if you haven't paid $667 by June 16th, you can't join the team. You can't train with us. You can't compete with us. Can't come to any of the events. Track and field over the summer, money is such a big issue, and money can spoil the relationship between the coaches and the athletes. So we set these hard deadlines so that we can have a positive summer and a good experience. The $100 fee is more to discourage families from joining the team between that time period. But a lot of times we still have some aggressive families that just won't take no for an answer. So he says, okay, fine. You want to pay the extra $100? Come on. But just go ahead and just do it by the 5th. We do have some athletes that have already qualified for certain meets, and we have already had the schedule set up for the rest of the summer, for the Junior Olympics, for New Balance. Everything's done already. So the sooner you pay, the sooner you can get started. Chase Quick Pay is our preferred method of payment. Now, most of the families that we work with, they bank with the leading banks that are listed at the bottom of the screen here: Bank of America, Capital One, Chase, First Bank, Fox, U.S. Bank, and Wells Fargo. Now, for Chase Bank, Clear Exchange is also known as Chase Quick Pay. Bank of America, I'm not sure what it's called at Bank of America, but I'm sure most of us are already using Clear Exchange. Clear Exchange allows banks to transfer money from one bank branch to another bank branch without any extra fees or processing fees. So this is the one our most preferred method of payment is Chase Quick Pay. If Chase Quick Pay is not preferred, we do have PayPal. All of our payments on site, our online merchant account is PayPal. So if you don't have Chase Bank or Bank of America, you can do PayPal. You can use a credit card, MasterCard, or what you have. So no matter what it is that you're doing, using, you want to send that to accounts at trackmyspeed.org. Now, there are other sources of payments. Well, heck, you can send money through Snapchat if you wanted to. There are some other apps that allows you to send money to friends and families. So if there's a method of electronic or digital payment that you are secure using, just send it to accounts at trackmyspeed.org. And if Trackmyspeed doesn't have an account, I'll just go ahead and create one. Now that's important for us because this summer we don't accept cash and we do not accept checks. It's just like an airline. Now I'm not saying that we're the United Airline of track and field, but not accepting cash and not accepting checks is going to keep us in business for a very long time, and then also help us with relationship building too. So keep everything electronic. That way we can see where the money's coming from. There's receipts. There's paper trails. And during this summer, trust us, we are going to need some paper trails so that we can say, hey, to the meet director, hey, listen, we paid these fees already. Look, here's my receipt. It's track and field. There's a lot of tricky things and there are a lot of moving pieces, which is why we're doing a webinar, because there's a lot to learn.